Hi guys, sorry for posting. I know no one probably cares, but I have no one to share this with, so here I am. I finally bought my own place. First home, nothing fancy. 2 bedrooms, fake hardwood floors, and a backyard that's more weeds than grass. But it was mine. And yeah, the price was low, suspiciously low. I figured there had to be something structurally wrong. Cracked foundation, water damage, something buried in the inspection report. But it all came back clean, and I was too desperate to pass it up. If the walls caved in later, fine. At least they'd be my walls. The realtor was cagey about the previous owner. Just said the house had been sitting for a while and that the guy who lived here left it behind. Whatever that meant. I didn't ask, I just wanted out of my old apartment. Paper-thin walls, loud neighbors, and a ceiling that leaked every time it rained. This place felt like freedom. The neighborhood was actually really nice. Clean streets, friendly people, quiet evenings. One of those rare places where kids still ride bikes after school, and someone's always walking a dog. My next-door neighbor even brought over banana bread on my second day. Everything about it felt normal, safe, like I'd finally landed somewhere good. The first few nights were peaceful. I slept better than I had in months. The silence was thick in a good way, like everything had finally gone still. Then the knocking started. It happened on the third night. I was just drifting off when I heard it. 3 sharp knocks against the wall behind my bed. Not fast, not frantic, just 3 deliberate taps. Then nothing. I sat up and listened. Nothing else followed. I figured it was old pipes. Houses settle, right? Creaks and pops and thumps. All part of the charm. But the next night, it happened again. Same 3 knocks. This time in the guest room wall. I hadn't even been in there that day. I moved to the couch. The knocking followed. Then came the cold spots. I'd be making coffee and suddenly feel this sharp drop in temperature, like stepping into a freezer. The hairs on my arms would stand up. I could see my breath. And it always happened in the same spot by the living room window. The air smelled different there, too. Stale, like mildew and something metallic. Almost like pennies and damp drywall. I tried to ignore it. Told myself it was just old insulation. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The kind of wrong you don't want to name. That morning, I decided to rearrange the guest room. No reason, really. I just felt restless. The room made me uncomfortable, like it wasn't really mine. There was this old wardrobe left behind by the previous owner. Heavy. Outdated. It didn't match anything else in the house. I hadn't touched it until then, but when I dragged it away from the wall, I found something. A door. It was hidden behind the wardrobe, flush with the wall, and painted the same dull off-white. No handle, just a rusted keyhole and a bent latch, like someone had tried to break it open. Or maybe keep it shut. The wood looked older than the rest of the house, darker, water-stained. Wrong. It gave me this uneasy feeling, like I was looking at something that didn't want to be seen. I don't know why, but I couldn't walk away. I had to know what was behind it. Not because I was curious. It felt more like pressure, like something was pushing me to open it. I tore through the attic and found a key taped under a loose floorboard. Small, iron, and ice cold in my hand. At sunset, I unlocked the door. The stairs creaked under my weight. Narrow, uneven steps led down into thick, stale air. Every breath tasted like mold, metal, and something sourer. The air didn't just smell, it clung to my skin. The space below didn't match the house. It extended farther than it should have. The walls were concrete but covered in peeling wallpaper, like someone had tried to make it feel less like a basement and more like a room. But it didn't feel lived in, it felt buried. There was nothing down there, just dust, cobwebs, and silence so heavy it made my ears ring. And then I saw the scratches. On the inside of the door, deep, frantic gouges in the wood. Long marks, uneven, like someone with bare fingers or maybe nails had tried to claw their way out. My stomach dropped. I didn't go any further. I couldn't. I felt watched. Not the someone's in the room kind of watched. Something older. Worse. Like the room itself was breathing, and I just stepped inside its lungs. I turned around, went back up, and shut the door. Locked it. Moved the wardrobe back in front of it. Tried to pretend I hadn't seen anything. But that night, the whispering started. It didn't stop with the whispering. That first night, it said my name over and over. Quiet at first, like someone whispering through cupped hands. Then louder, closer. By 4 a.m, it wasn't a whisper anymore. It was right up against my ear and breathy and sharp, like it was angry I wasn't answering. It used my sister's voice, and not how I remembered her. It was the voice she had in the hospital after the cancer spread to her throat. Raspy, wet, the way she sounded just before she died. I stayed up until sunrise with every light on and a knife in my hand, even though I knew that wouldn't help. The moment daylight hit the windows, the house went still again. Like nothing ever happened. I tried to convince myself it was stress, a sleep-deprived hallucination. But then I saw the wardrobe. It had moved. Not by much, just a few inches forward. But enough to leave fresh drag marks across the floor. Scratches that hadn't been there the night before, as if something had pulled it outward from the other side. I didn't sleep. Every time I shut my eyes, I heard breathing. Not mine, not human, like someone dragging air through thick liquid. Slow, wet. I left my phone recording on the nightstand. In the morning, I played it back. 2 hours in, the audio glitched. The file distorted into high-pitched static. But right before that, just for a second, I heard my mother's voice. She's been dead for 5 years, but there she was whispering, "You left me down here." My blood ran cold. I dropped the phone. Threw up in the sink. I didn't eat that day. I couldn't. The atmosphere in the house changed. I don't mean metaphorically, I mean it literally felt heavier. The cold spot near the living room window spread. By nightfall, the whole house felt like a walk-in freezer. I lit a candle to test it. The flame bent sideways like something invisible was breathing right next to it. Then I heard a bang upstairs, a slam, like someone throwing their weight into a door. I ran up thinking someone had broken in, but the hallway was empty. One of the bedroom doors, which I knew I had shut, was now wide open. The wardrobe was pulled a full foot away from the wall. The hidden door behind it was open, wide open. I stared at it for what felt like an hour. I couldn't bring myself to look inside. I closed the bedroom door and slept on the floor of the bathroom with the light on. I stayed on the couch with every light on. I didn't even bother pretending to sleep. I held a baseball bat in my lap like an idiot, even though I knew whatever this was didn't care about bats. Around midnight, the lights started flickering. Not all at once. One room at a time. First the kitchen, then the hallway, then the lamp next to me. The house buzzed like it was breathing through the wires. Then came the fridge. It opened by itself, violently, slammed against the wall and stayed there. The light inside was off. The compressor wasn't running, just dead. That's when the whispering started again, but now it was coming from inside the walls. I pressed my ear to the drywall and I swear I heard footsteps. Bare feet dragging slowly across the wood just behind the plaster. And then, laughter. At first it sounded like a kid. High-pitched, breathless. Then it changed, deeper, wrong. I heard my father. Then my college roommate. My old dog. Every dead voice I'd ever heard, all slipping in and out like masks. I started crying and couldn't stop. I sat on the floor, rocking like a child until the first hint of morning light broke through the blinds. I stepped outside barefoot just to feel the sun on my skin. I stood there for 10 minutes, not moving, just breathing. My neighbor waved at me from across the street. I waved back like nothing was wrong, like I wasn't falling apart inside. When I finally forced myself back into the house, I went straight to the guest room. The wardrobe had been shoved several feet across the room, not by me. The hidden door behind it stood wide open. Inside, the staircase now went down far deeper than it had before. It was almost like the house had grown underneath itself. I stood there staring at it, my feet frozen to the floor. I didn't go down, not yet, but I was going to. Not because I wanted to, because I had to. Something was trapped down there once. Someone locked it away. Whatever they did to contain it, I need to understand. Because if I don't stop it, if I don't learn how to seal it again, I fear what it will do to me. I should have waited until daylight. I should have told someone. Or left. Or burned the house down. But instead, I went down at night, like an idiot. I thought if I could figure out how they trapped it, I could stop it, or at least survive. I wasn't curious, I was desperate. I didn't bring a weapon, that would have been pointless. I brought my mom's old crucifix, found it packed away in a shoebox in the back of the closet. The chain was tangled. The cross was cold in a way metal shouldn't be. I didn't feel safe holding it, just slightly less helpless. The wardrobe was still shoved aside. I hadn't moved it since the door behind it was found wide open. The air pouring out was worse now. Wet, cold, and sour, and like mildew and old meat. The kind of air that clings to your clothes and sinks into your lungs. I stepped down with the flashlight. The light barely touched anything past the 10th stair. The house above disappeared behind me like I'd never been there at all. By the time I hit the bottom, I felt like I'd sunk through the floor of reality. The voices came back. But they weren't calling me this time. They were mocking. Layered whispers in my mother's voice, my sister's laugh, my father's coughing fit. Bits of memory chopped and looped and twisted into something cruel. The crucifix burned hotter in my hand the deeper I went. I don't know if it was the same room as before. The shape was similar. Concrete walls, no windows, no furniture. But the carvings in the floor were gone. Just torn up gouges like something had violently scraped them away. At the center, the dirt patch had split open. It wasn't a pit exactly, not like it had depth. More like a wound. Something pulsed inside. Something waiting. I stepped forward. The flashlight dimmed to almost nothing. The crucifix scorched my palm. I dropped it. It hit the floor, slid to the edge of the dirt, and stopped. Then it rose. It unfolded. First a limb, too long, bent the wrong way. Then something that might have been a torso. And then a face that shifted every second it existed. It wore my sister's mouth, my mom's eyes, my father's jaw, all overlapping, stretched over skin that was too thin. The more it mimicked, the more it unraveled. Every movement looked like it was guessing how people worked, a bad imitation of being alive. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. It was already inside my head. Every loss I'd ever felt, it played back. Every cruel word I ever said. Every time I looked away while someone I loved was dying. It didn't invent pain, it just sharpened what was already there. Then it came at me. It didn't lunge, it didn't run, it just was suddenly next to me, inside me, around me. I remember hitting the wall, my shoulder shattered. I felt blood spill across my back. My face hit the ground. Then something grabbed my leg and pulled. I think I screamed. I don't remember the sound. I remember the pain. This heavy, internal, skin-splitting pain, like something was trying to dig into me and take root. I blacked out. They found me face down on the floor at the bottom of the stairs. Unconscious, barely breathing, covered in cuts and bruises. They said my body was freezing. I'm in the hospital as I'm writing this. They won't let me leave. I told them what happened, but they don't believe me. I think they have a psychiatrist coming to check on me. Probably going to end up in an insane asylum. Thing is, I can still hear the whispering. And every now and then, I can see it, just for a second. In the corner of my eye, watching, waiting. If anyone reading this knows anything about, please help me. This constant whispering is driving me fucking insane.